Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Spirit and Strategy, the business growth podcast for spiritual entrepreneurs. I am your host, Lola, also known as the Reality Priestess. I'm a business growth strategist, a spiritual teacher, intuitive. I do all of the things. And today, we are going to be talking about the energetics of niching. Should spiritual entrepreneurs and spiritual practitioners niche down? If so, how? But before we get into it, if you need support with any of these things, you need strategy, you need some done for you services, I offer VIP days. You can find out more about that on the website. So first of all, look, if we're going to talk about niching, you need to know how to pronounce it properly, okay? It is a niche, not a niche, a niche. Right? I'm only joking. You can pronounce it any way you want to, but you need to understand it. So let me kind of wind back. Why am I talking about this today, right? I want to bring you a kind of a unique perspective on niching that you maybe haven't heard before. And I know that niching is a very contentious topic, right? It's very contentious. In my experience, y'all don't like to niche. You don't like to do it. And I understand why, and we're going to be talking about why in a second. But the truth is, I have been getting a lot of spiritual downloads on niching. Just like when I'm in the shower, when I'm walking about, I've just been getting a lot of unprompted just downloads about this. I think I'm going to become like the energetics of niching girl, right? In terms of some of the things that I talk about. So let's get into it because I have a lot I want to say, right? First of all, let's talk about why you guys hate niching so much, right? And there are multiple reasons and they're not all bad. I think that the first big reason is actually coming from a really good place, which is this desire to serve everybody, right? If you are the kind of spiritual entrepreneur, the kind of person I am speaking to who is doing this work as a consequence and as a matter of destiny, you feel called. This is a vocation. This is not just a job. This is not just a business, right? So you are going to want to help as many people as you can. And sometimes the idea of a niche feels like you're being boxed in and being prevented from helping everyone that you can, right? So I totally get that. I think another reason is that we have this fear of limitation. We have this scarcity mindset and the mistaken belief that if we have more options, if we're serving more different kinds of people, then we are going to make more money. And this is something that is a myth. This is a myth, and I will talk about this later, right? So that's the second reason. The third reason, which I don't know, I feel like this is unique to us again, right, is that we can kind of identify personally with the niche. So what do I mean by this, right? It's like you mistake your identity for the niche. You think that if you define your work in a very specific way, that you are limiting yourself as a person. I actually posted a thread about this. It must have been a few weeks ago, and I said that we are not trying to niche you, right? The entrepreneur, the practitioner, the offer needs to be niched, right? And it comes to this personal identity. When we are coming into our gifts and into our power, we really feel that we don't want to be limited, and for good reason, because we are infinite divine beings. So this is one of the reasons that we struggle with the concept of niching, right? And the final reason I will say that we struggle with this is that some of us have a fear of commitment. We have a fear of commitment. And this also links to us feeling our bigness, right? And not wanting to be boxed in. We don't want to be boxed in and tied to someone. tied to a group of people forever, right? And so that can translate into different areas of our business. And I'm actually going to talk about commitment as part of another episode in the future, because I think it's really, really important. But yeah, some of us have got commitment issues, right? We don't want to be tied down. We don't want to be tied down, right? So let me kind of go into, well, what really is a niche, right, from a strategic and an energetic point of view. So I found a definition for you that I quite liked, which is more on the strategy side. And it says this, it says, a niche market is a specific segment of consumers who share characteristics and are likely to buy a particular product or service. Niche markets are smaller, highly specific groups within a broader target market. Yeah? And even this definition might bring up some stuff for you, right? Because we use the word smaller. Yeah? But specific is the thing that you really want to, you want to pay attention to. So that's the strategy. That's the strategy part. We're trying to speak to specific groups, right? Specific groups. And some of you might immediately be thinking about demographics. So do I need to speak to women, etc.? Demographics are really not the same thing as niching. They can be a factor, but that is not what niching is about. This is not about the demographics of the people who you are speaking to or serving, right? So what is it from more of an energetic perspective, right? And again, I posted something about this on Threads recently, which is that a niche is really like an altar. A niche is like an altar. And an altar, to me, is really just a focal point for directing energy. It's a focal point for directing energy, for amplifying energy, but really for telling energy where to go. And that is what a niche is. That is what a niche is, right? It is a focal point for directing energy. And in last week's episode, we talked about how to be fully booked in your spiritual business when you have limited energy. Because many of us who are doing this work don't necessarily have the hours and don't necessarily have the energy, because a lot of what we're doing requires so much energy, right? And so you really do need to think about how best to direct that. Yeah, we need to be good stewards of the energy that we have. So that kind of brings me on to why really you should niche, right? And I am going to come down on one side of this. I know sometimes we can be like, it depends, etc. No, I feel quite strongly that you should find a niche that works for you. I don't believe it should be forced, though, by the way. I believe that it's something that should emerge organically and with strategy and thinking, which is what I help my clients with in the VIP day. But I will say that I have not seen a successful business that doesn't have a niche or multiple niches. So even if it looks like they're solving multiple different types of people, those multiple different types of people are very well defined based on their characteristics, and they are being served intentionally, not by accident. And this goes from solopreneurs all the way to big corporate clients. I'm working with a big corporate client at the moment on their customer experience, and we started with the niche. We started with the niche, right? Who is it that they are trying to serve? So, getting into why then. Why do we need to do this? So the first reason I would say is that because a niche is like an altar which is directing energy, yeah, you are focusing your energy on a specific problem or group of people or transformation, yeah, and this concentration, what it's doing in your business is actually amplifying your signal. It's making it easier for your people to find you. It's like a flag, right? So instead of it actually pushing people away, it is actually going to put you in the spotlight. A niche absolutely puts you in a spotlight. So I'll give you an example for myself, right? I work with spiritual entrepreneurs and spiritual practitioners. That is my focus. That is an aspect of my niche. I therefore attract people who have spiritual businesses. But I also attract people who are spiritual that have mundane businesses, right? And we're going to talk about that again in another episode around hybrid offers, because this is where I think where we're going. But this is a side quest. My point is that being known for something, right, amplifies your signal, and it will attract your people to you, but also it will still allow you to be known to people who are not in that immediate group, right? So it amplifies your signal, it amplifies your focus, yeah? So that's reason number one. Number two, again linked to last week's episode, is it conserves your energy. It conserves your energy. If you are working with all different types of people, with many different types of problem, you are going to be switching from task to task. Just think about your week and all the different types of offers that you have, all the different types of people that you serve. You are going to be switching. And I don't know if you are familiar with the research on switching, right? Which is that those of you who think you can multitask, you can't. Nobody can. Every time you switch from one activity to something that is very different, that is dissimilar to that original activity, you lose so much efficiency, right? Productivity, I guess, right? That we would call in the 3D world. But from our perspective, we are losing energy that just dissipates every time we're doing that, okay? So a niche helps you to conserve the energy that you have, which is everything that you need to run your business. The third reason you should really consider having a niche is that niching is one of the ways in which we transfer belief to our potential clients. And that is really what sales is. I've spent many, many years thinking about what is sales really. And all it is a transference of belief that you can help someone solve their problem. You can help someone solve their problem in a specific time frame, right? And that you will deliver on your promise. You know, it's about trust. And so if you are trying to be known for many things at once, we are designed to just question that. Especially if you're a solopreneur. If you are a company, it's slightly different, because what happens then in terms of how we think about this is we think, well, that company has many departments, that company has big teams, yeah? But when we're working with solopreneurs, we think differently, and we have slightly different expectations, right? So a niche really helps with the transference of belief, which is what you need to grow your business, okay? So another reason why you should really consider niching, which is linked to that, is it creates a strong foundation for expansion and scaling in the future. When people trust you for one thing and you've built trust and mastery in a particular area, it's much easier for you to then transfer that trust and belief to a different area, which is why you see so many other types of entrepreneurs who have grown over many years. They're actually dabbling in many different areas. They're launching different products, new lines, and their audience comes with them because that trust was built in a particular area. Okay? Then the final, most important reason that I really think you should consider having a niche is destiny, right? And you all know that destiny is my primary focus, right? This is the work that I've been called to do, and it just shows itself up in business growth, entrepreneurship, etc., right? But your niche is often linked to the people that you are meant to serve in this lifetime. The people you're meant to serve. I am meant to serve spiritual practitioners, right? Especially at this phase of my life. And so me refusing to acknowledge my niche, for me, is a matter of destiny, right? It is important. I want to move on now to talking about how you should actually niche. How should you think about this in practice? Now, there are many ways to niche, and I don't like many of them. I think that when people think about a niche, they are thinking about generally, are you helping people with health, wealth, or love, which is kind of semi-useful as a starting point. They often think about identity groups or demographics. So do you work with women? Do you work with people of colour? Do you work with the LGBT community? Which, yes, maybe. Think about the industries that you're serving, particularly if you work with businesses or other entrepreneurs. This can be useful. But for most spiritual entrepreneurs, I really think that you want to focus on the problem that you're solving and who you're solving it for. So like a combination of those two things together. And that's what really creates a powerful niche. It's niching on multiple dimensions. Yeah. So for me, I am working with spiritual entrepreneurs to help them grow their business and align with destiny, most importantly. Those things all together. So let me give you an example, right? Because the challenge that spiritual entrepreneurs have is that they are a unique form of expert. And when you are an expert, it actually becomes very difficult for you to niche down your business on a demographic, because you identify more with the problem that you're solving and how you solve the problem, your modality, more than you identify with a particular demographic, generally speaking. So let me bring that to life. So if you are a psychic medium, that's your thing, right? And so you're going to put that at the heart of your business rather than necessarily the fact that you do that for a demographic. If you're a tarot reader, the same thing. And this is generally how we organize ourselves as spiritual entrepreneurs. But we also want to add another layer to that. And this is what we do in the VIP day. We essentially are starting with the problem that you solve, with your solution, and then we're working backwards to like, okay, which set of problems are we really solving with that solution that we have, and who is it that really has those problems? And how does that link to your own personal identity and your story and where you've come from? And this is how we're arriving at a niche that really feels resonant, that feels right in terms of what we're focusing on. Yeah? So I just probably want to wrap up thinking about this, right? There's a lot of conversation out there about being the niche. Are you the niche? Well, you are in a sense. You are in a sense, right? But I don't really like the kind of narrative and movement towards this idea of us being the niche, because none of this is about us. This is not about us. This is about the people that we are here to help. This is about our role in the collective. The things that are for us are our passion, our families, our lifestyle, right? The things that we do for us to be nourished, which we need. But when we are in business and when we are in spiritual practice, we are there to serve other people. And absolutely there's an energy exchange. And absolutely there's a role for self-expression. And there is a role for showing up authentically and being ourselves. But the business doesn't work if there's nothing on the other side of that. What's on the other side of that is our customers and our clients, right? So you are not the niche because it's not about you, is what I would say. Now, I will say that the people who say this and are where I would agree that they generally are the niche are people who are marketing their lifestyle. Marketing their lifestyle. So people are following them because they want all of the things that they have. They want the nice family that they've got, the nice marriage, they want the money that they've got, the clothes they wear, and that is why people are following them. It might even be in a spiritual space. They want their spiritual practices, they want the aesthetics, that, you know. In those people are the niche because what they're really selling is their lifestyle. And the people who are following them are people who are like them, or have the potential to be like them, right? So I would just be very, very careful with narratives that suggest that you should be the niche, right? So that is really all I have for you today on the energetics of niching. I hope it has been helpful and enlightening for you to think about this in your own spiritual business. If you would like support with this, I am doing calls. I have a couple of slots available to work with me over April and May. If you are interested, you know where to find me. Stay aligned, stay strategic, and I'll see you in the next one.